Hello everyone, I am P. Vasavilata, working as Assistant Professor with Department of Business Management, RBVRR Women's College. Today, I would like to present on financial management. Every organization requires money in order to meet its obligation. The money that is required by an organization is called as capital, and financial management deals with the monetary aspect of an organization. Financial management is a combination of two words, finance and management. Finance is the money, capital, funds which is required by an organization to meet its requirements, whereas management is doing things in a proper manner. If financial management has to be defined, financial management is the management of money in an organization in an effective and efficient manner. Finance is considered as a lifeblood of an organization because you cannot imagine an organization without money. So, that money has to be managed effectively in an organization because if it is not managed properly in an organization, that would lead to wastage of money in an organization. Therefore, financial management requires planning, organizing, controlling the financial activities of the organization in such a way that the procurement and utilization of funds in an organization happen in an effective and efficient manner. Financial management is an art and science of managing money. It is called as an art because not everybody can manage the organizational money. It is only financial managers who can do it because they have the required knowledge. That's the reason it is considered as an art. Financial management is also called as science because it is based upon certain principles which have to be followed while managing the monetary aspect of an organization. The various definitions given by various authors. According to Khan and Jen, financial management is an art and science of managing money. According to Solomon, financial management is managing the important resource of an organization known as resources. Now, what are the main objectives of financial management? There are basically two objectives of financial management. One is profit maximization and the other one is wealth maximization. Speaking about profit maximization, every organization works with an objective of earning profits. According to financial management, every activity that is undertaken in an organization should increase the profit. So, therefore, any activity which does not contribute towards the profit should not be undertaken in an organization. So, according to profit maximization, any activity, resource, asset that you buy for an organization should increase the profit. If it is not contributing towards the profit, you should not undertake that activity, you should not buy that asset for the organization. But there are certain drawbacks of profit maximization. That is, the first drawback is the term profit is ambiguous. That is, the word profit has not been clearly defined whether it is gross profit, net profit, profit before tax or profit after tax, whether it is short-term profit or long-term profit, that has not been clearly defined in financial management. Because of these drawbacks, financial management came up with a new objective, that is wealth maximization. Wealth maximization is also known as shareholders wealth maximization, value maximization, or net worth maximization. According to wealth maximization, profit maximization drawbacks have been rectified in wealth maximization, and wealth maximization is universally accepted as an optimum decision criteria. According to wealth maximization, the profit of the organization should not be taken into consideration, whereas value of the organization has to be taken into consideration. According to wealth maximization, any activity which increases the value should be undertaken, and any activity which does not increase the value should not be undertaken in an organization. Then comes the question, what does value mean in financial management? Value is the relationship between cash inflows and cash outflows. If cash inflows are greater than cash outflows, it generates value to the organization. But if cash inflows are less than cash outflows, it does not generate any kind of value to the organization. So, any activity in which cash inflows are greater than cash outflows, such activities should be undertaken according to wealth maximization. There are two schools of thought where there is always a conflict between profit maximization and wealth maximization. One school of thought believes that profit maximization is the best criteria because they say profit is the test of economic efficiency of an organization, whereas there is another school of thought which says that profit maximization is only beneficial to the management of the organization, whereas wealth maximization or shareholders value maximization is benefiting the shareholders. So that should be taken into consideration. Apart from these two basic objectives, there is one more objective which is given more importance in the modern days, that is welfare maximization. Welfare maximization talks about an organization producing only those kind of products or rendering only those kind of services which are not harmful to the society at large. According to the concept of welfare maximization, an organization should produce only those products or render only those services which are not hazardous to the health and property of people living in the society at large. So it takes into the environmental considerations and talks about the welfare of the people at large rather than individual level or organizational level. Next comes approaches to financial management. As we have already learned that financial management is a lifeblood of an organization, therefore it has to be managed properly. There are two approaches to financial management. One is called as the traditional approach and the other one is called as the modern approach. Under traditional approach, financial management or financial managers gave more importance on accumulation of funds or procurement of funds, that is gathering of funds was given more importance because in olden days uh, borrowing of money or getting of money was the biggest challenge. So the entire concentration of financial management in tradition approach was only on procurement or accumulation of funds, but the main concept of financial management is the effective utilization of funds, which was ignored under traditional management. Traditional management only concentrated on procurement of funds, which raised the modern approach into existence. Now, modern approach of financial management not only talks about procurement of funds, but it also talks about effective utilization of funds. That is, modern management not only talks about how the funds should be acquired, but it also talks about how the acquired funds can be utilized in an effective and efficient manner. Now, this modern approach gave the scope of financial management. The scope of financial management or the modern approach is broken down into three important decisions. The entire financial management revolves around these three important decisions of financial management. The first one is financing decision, the second one is investment decision, and the third one is dividend decision. These three decisions of financial management are inseparable or interrelated, are dependent upon each other. You cannot make them separated or you cannot study them in a separated manner. These three decisions are very crucial and are also considered as the major functions of financial manager. Now, coming to the first decision in financial management is the financing decision. This is considered as one of the major or crucial decisions that are made by the financial manager in an organization. The first and foremost thing when an organization is established is to understand what is the requirement of funds or what is the requirement of capital in order to successfully establish and run an organization. So, capital forms out to be an important aspect of an organization. Financing decision talks about how does this capital be acquired. That is, every organization requires money, and how are you getting this money in an organization? Now, the money or the funds that are required by an organization can be collected from two different sources. One is the owner investing his own money or the company putting on its own money, which is called as share capital, which is called as equity share capital, or the money can be borrowed from outsiders, which is called as debt, which can be borrowed in the form of a loan, debenture, or bond. So, a company can get its capital from two different sources. One is equity, which is the contribution of the owner, and the other one is debt, which is the contribution of an outsider. So, there is almost most of the companies will have a combination of equity and debt. That is called as a capital structure of a company. Capital structure is the combination of debt and equity that is maintained by an organization. It is also called as financial mix, capital structure, or leverage. Now, every company has to make sure that it maintains an optimum capital structure. An optimum capital structure is one which has a proper mix of debt and equity to make sure that there is a balance between risk and return to the shareholders. So, the first important decision that a financial manager takes in an organization is to maintaining that proper financing mix or maintaining a proper capital structure of a company. Therefore, first he has to decide what is the money that is required by a company, what is the capital that is required by a company, and check out what are the sources through which he can obtain or he can acquire that money, and to ensure that there is a proper combination of debt and equity so that there is a balance of risk and return to their shareholders. This is the major decision of financial management because based on this decision, the other decisions are dependent. That is, an investment can be only made when there are funds available in the organization, and these funds can only be made available because of the financing decision. Because it is the decision upon which the other two decisions of financial management are based, that's the reason it is considered as a crucial or major decision of the organization. It is mainly concerned with borrowing and allocation of funds that are required for the investment decision. Once the financing decision is made in an organization, the next important decision that is made by the financial manager is investment decision. That is, whatever money that you require, you collect it from debt and equity. Once the organization has the money, the next question that comes into picture is where to invest this money so that you can earn profits. Therefore, investment decision is mainly concerned with allocation of these funds into various investment avenues so that the organizations can earn maximum profitability or return. Investment decision is basically the choice of making an investment in assets. By using those assets, the company can earn profits. Therefore, investment decision basically deals with selecting the right type of assets for the purpose of allocating the funds so that the firm can earn or the company can earn maximum profitability. Now, investment decisions are of two types. One is long-term investment decision and the other one is short-term investment decisions. Before learning about long-term investment decisions and short-term investment decision, I would like to tell you that every company requires two types of assets. One is fixed assets and the other one is current assets. Fixed assets are also known as long-term assets. Current assets are also known as short-term assets. So, if you are taking a decision of investing money in short-term assets, it is called as short-term investment decision. And if you are taking a decision of investing money in long-term assets, it is called as long-term investment decisions. That is, now, what is the difference between long-term and short-term assets is any asset which gives benefit for a short period of time is called as short-term assets. Any asset which gives benefit for a long duration of time, that is more than 1 year, is called as a long-term asset. Now, if a decision is taken pertaining to short-term asset, it is called as short-term investment decision. If a decision is taken pertaining to long-term asset, it is called as long-term investment decision. Long-term investment decisions are very crucial in an organization because the money that is invested in long-term assets is usually high or huge and the risk involved is high. Therefore, the financial manager has to be very careful before investing money or before taking a decision pertaining to long-term assets. Now, the decisions pertaining to long-term assets are called as capital budgeting decisions, and there are various techniques that are used for evaluating the capital budgeting proposals. That is, in order to make a long-term investment decision, you have to evaluate whether the proposals are profitable or not, for which we use a lot of techniques which are called as capital budgeting techniques, which includes the profitability index, net present value method, internal rate of return, average rate of return, and payback period. These are the 5 techniques which are used in order to take long-term investment decisions. Apart from long-term assets, every company also requires short-term assets which are called as current assets. Now, any decision pertaining to short-term investment decision is also called as working capital management decision. Working capital, you have to manage cash, receivables, debtors. You have to manage the overall working capital if you are taking decision pertaining to short-term investment decisions. Once the company makes an investment decision, the company starts earning profits. Then the next question comes, what should be the dividend decision of an organization? Before going to dividend decision, I would like to tell you what are dividends. Dividends are a portion or a part of net profits which have to be distributed among the shareholders who have invested their money in the organization. That is, when financing decision of an organization is taken, we have learned that money can be contributed by an outsider. When an outsider contributes money towards the capital of the company, he has a right to enjoy the profits of the organization. So, that profits which are distributed among the shareholders is called as dividend decision. Now, these dividends have to be distributed among the shareholders according to the proportion of investment that they make in an organization. Therefore, the financial manager is entrusted with the responsibility of taking decision about what to be done with the net profits distribution. Because the company has 3 options in front of it, that is, the profits can be distributed among the shareholders, or they can be retained in the business for the future financial requirements, or they can be partially distributed and partially retained. So when the company is taking decision pertaining to the dividends, whether to be distributed, whether to be retained, or whether to be partially distributed or partially retained. Such kind of decisions, when are taken in an organization, they are called the financial decisions of an organization. Sorry, they are called the dividend decisions of the organization. So dividend decision also turns out to be an important decision because this will actually contribute towards the financing decision on acquisition of funds. All these three decisions, financing, investment, and dividend decisions, are interrelated. Financing decision, if there are no funds in the organization, you cannot make investments in assets. And when you cannot make investments in assets, or when you cannot spend money, you cannot earn profits. So when there are no profits, there is no distribution among the shareholders. Therefore, all the three decisions are considered to be important in an organization. Therefore, financial management decisions are considered as crucial functions of financial manager. Coming to next, what are the functions of financial manager? Financial management is basically concerned with accumulation, allocation, and control of financial resources in an organization. So every financial manager has a very crucial role to be taken up in an organization. His functions include to maintain or to ensure regular and adequate supply of funds to the organization. That is, whenever the company is in need of money, the financial manager must ensure, must see to it that the funds which are required by the company are adequately and regularly supplied without any stoppage or without any delay. So it is the first and foremost responsibility of financial manager to make sure that the funds are supplied as and when required by the company. The second function of financial manager is to make sure that the shareholders get adequate returns based upon its earning capacity, market price of the share, and expectations of the shareholders. Every shareholder invests their money in an organization with an assumption that the company gives them maximum benefit. So it is the responsibility of the financial manager to make sure that the shareholders get adequate return for the funds that they have invested in an organization. This will help the company in two ways. It brings up adequate reputation to the company when the returns are paid back to the shareholders adequately, and it ensures that new investors invest their funds in the company. So the financial manager has to consider it has its prime objective to make sure that the shareholders get their part of return. The third important function of a financial manager is to see that funds which are accumulated are optimally utilized. That is, once the money that is required by an organization is collected, the financial manager has to make sure that that money has been utilized in the maximum possible way with minimum cost in order to obtain maximum profitability. The goal of financial manager is to make sure that the company earns maximum profitability with minimum cost. The next important objective of financial manager is to ensure safety on investments. That is, before making any kind of investment, the financial manager has to make sure that the investments give a safe rate of return or required rate of return. If financial manager feels that any investment avenue will not fetch safe returns, financial manager should avoid investing in those kind of funds. Now, financial managers' responsibility is to make sure that the funds that are collected by the company are utilized in the best possible manner and give safe return on investment, because safety is the first priority. And the last function of financial manager is to make sure that a company has a sound capital structure. That is, as I told you in financial decision, the company gets its money from two different sources. One is from an internal source, that is the money that is contributed by the owner, and the second one is from an external source, that is money borrowed from an outsider. Now, it is the responsibility of the financial manager to ensure that there is a sound composition of capital, that is, there is a proper balance between equity, that is the money that is contributed by the owner, and debt, that is the money that is contributed by an outsider. This balance has to be maintained properly in order to ensure that the organization provides safety returns to its shareholders, because shareholders are the top priority of an organization. So it has to be ensured that there is a proper balance between debt and equity. Now, the entire financial management revolves around these three important decisions, that is financing decision, investment decision, and dividend decision, and the functions make sure that these three decisions are effectively implemented in an organization. And another important concept in financial management is considering the time value of money. That is, every the money that is invested in an organization, or the money that is utilized in the organization, has certain value, and that value changes according to time. That is, value of money is different during different time periods. So the financial managers have to make sure that the money that is utilized in the organization is considered according to its time value. So whenever financial managers take the three important decisions of an organization, they have to ensure that they take the time value of money into consideration. Now, financial manager, apart from the above mentioned functions, they have to carry out these things in an organization. The first thing that they have to do in an organization is to estimate what is the monetary requirement of an organization. Now, the monetary requirement of an organization changes from company to company. If it is a small scale company, the money that is required by an organization will be less. If it is a large scale company, the money that is required by the company will be more. So, based upon the scale of operations, based considering the various factors of the organization, financial managers have to estimate or have to determine what is the capital requirement of the company at first. Once the capital requirement is estimated, next comes the determination of capital composition, that is capital structure. For example, if a company requires 10 lakh rupees, the next, the estimation is that the company requires 10 lakh rupees. The next thing that has to be determined is, where will the company get this 10 lakh rupees from? Does the owner have the entire 10 lakh rupees? If not, where will he borrow it from, or where will he get the money from? So determining the capital composition means deciding the capital structure of the company, that is, how much money will be contributed by the owner and how much money will be contributed by the outsider. So choice of sources of funds, that is whether you are choosing up an internal source of financing or whether you are choosing up an external source of financing, that is whether the entire money is contributed by the owner or whether the money is borrowed from an outsider. You are making a choice of the sources which you would use for the capital requirements has to be decided. Once the money has been gathered, once the money has been accumulated, or once the money has been procured, then the financial manager thinks about investing these funds in assets, proposals, or course of actions which are beneficial to the company. So once the choice of funds has been made, once the funds are procured, the financial manager decides about investments of funds in various investment opportunities so that the money can be utilized in the most effective manner and also gives maximum profitability to the organization. Now, after investing funds, if the manager, if the company has surplus funds, then the financial manager thinks of how to dispose of this surplus funds. Now, these surplus funds can be invested in short-term investment avenues so that the money does not remain idle. So, if company has any of additional funds after making investments, those additional surplus funds should be invested in short-term assets so that you can get them whenever you need it, and it will also fetch you some kind of return in hand. Once the surplus funds are invested, then the organization, then the financial manager should think of management of cash. This is an important aspect of financial management because the entire financial management revolves around managing of cash. So, how effectively cash can be managed? The financial manager has to think about it. The last and final function of financial management would be financial control. See, money, cash is considered as the most idle form of asset. If you don't control it properly, if you don't utilize it properly, it will go waste or it will not fetch you any kind of return. Therefore, the financial manager has to exercise financial control over the monetary aspects of the company to ensure that the company functions in an effective manner. Now, all these functions are exercised by the financial manager to ensure that there is shareholders' wealth maximization or the company is into maximum profitability, which is the prime objective of any organization. Therefore, I conclude stating that financial management is an important aspect of management. There are various branches of management, but financial management is considered as an important aspect of management because money is the most important resource of an organization. If you don't manage money of an organization properly, the company might go into winding off. The company might lose its existence. Therefore, financial management has to be managed. Financial aspects of the organization has to be managed properly. If you're not managing the financial aspects properly, the company will be into losses, and it is the question of company survival. Therefore, I would like to conclude stating that financial management is an important aspect of the organization, and all the financial managers should make sure that the procurement and effective utilization of funds happen in an organization in an effective and efficient manner. Thank you.